Thank you so much, Landeka. Good afternoon. Actually, it's 11:59, so good morning, good afternoon, UKZN students and staff. Welcome to the CSIR Industry Talk hosted by the School of Chemistry and Physics. My name is Leena Rajpal, and as many of you will know, I'm the public representative for the College of Agriculture, Engineering and Science. I want to thank you all for joining us today. And most importantly, I want to thank our guests from CSIR who have taken time to come and present to all our students and staff. I would just now like to mention a few house rules for the program. Firstly, the event is recorded. In terms of the POPIA Act, kindly note that we will use the information from the event for publishing purposes. Should you not want your information to be published for the purpose stated above, kindly email or send your concerns to rajpal@ukzn.ac.za. During the course of the event, all attendees would be muted with their videos switched off. If you have any questions during the presentation, kindly post them in the chat box facility and there will be somebody who will attend to it. During the Q&A session, the presenters will, or the MC, Professor Mathew Moodley, will give you the chance to ask your questions. Please raise your hand so that the tech person can identify you and allow you to unmute and pose your questions to the respective presenters. If by any chance attendees interfere with the presentations, we will note your details and remove you from the event. Finally, all the recordings will be emailed to the attendees present and will also be posted on the CAES website. Without much ado, I would now like to hand over to Professor Mathew Moodley, who is a lecturer and a renowned researcher in the School of Chemistry and Physics. Thank you.
Thank you, Leena. I'd like to welcome everyone here today for today's talk. This has to do with some colleagues, former colleagues of mine who are at the CSR. They will be talking about the CSIR and what they do. I think Leena has arranged a series of talks with the different functions of CSR, where they will tell you about what they do. Then we have some people that will look at student opportunities at the CSIR, postgraduate and maybe undergraduate as well. And then we have Dr. Roro, Kittessa, a former colleague of mine. He was a student when I was there. He will talk to you about the CSR's involvement in energy. You know, we have a major issue with energy in this country. And CSR is looking at aspects of that, how to overcome these problems. And then there's a former alumni of ours, Mr. Sheik, Mohammed Sheik, who is a mechanical engineer, graduated with mechanical engineering. He's at the CSR now, and he would tell you what he is doing there. So from my side, I can tell you I spent 10 years at the CSIR in Pretoria. Very fruitful years. I picked up a lot of techniques and experimental techniques. I used a lot of high-tech equipment there, and beautiful campus. And it's unlike anything else in South Africa. Very large campus, and played a critical role in South Africa from its early formation in the late 40s after World War II. I know a lot about CSR, and CSR plays an important role in South Africa. It can play a bigger role, and it has a lot of opportunities for young budding scientists and scientists to do important work for the country. And so I'll let them talk about it. So there is a question and answer session later on. After we can have a question and answer session, a question and answers after each speaker. Each speaker will have about 20 minutes. No, Dr. Roro will have 20 minutes, and Ms. Ramonyai will have 10, and then Mr. Sheik will have 10 minutes. And so it's quite compact, but and then we can have a Q&A session. So CSR is an extremely important organization, probably outside the university environment. CSR plays a critical role in the country. And that's why it was formed in the first place. So, if there's nothing else, I would like to call upon Dr. Roro, former colleague of mine. As I said, he's at the CSIR, was at the Nanotechnology Center, where I was the founding member there. And he's now in the energy sector, the energy department. And the CSR is always changing around. So he's now in the energy department of energy, I think. He will tell you more. And so Roro, you put on weight, I see. You put on some weight. Okay,
good, thank you so much, Mathew. Am I audible before I start? And
yeah,
please
you are audible. You can go ahead. Yeah.
Good.
20 minutes.
Fantastic.
Okay.
It's really a great pleasure for me to take part in this industry talk representing the CSI Energy Center. Yes, of course, Mathew, when I was a student at Nelson Mandela University, we have a very good relationship with National Laser Center through Professor Andrew Leach. And that's how way I know you in the very early 2000, upon 2000 to 2005. And then I joined the CSIR in 2009 when you moved to National Laser Center. And to Nano Center, I joined the National Laser Center as a postdoc. Good. Let me, was I'm not taking much of your time. I really want to give you a quick overview of what, why the CSIR formed the Energy Center and what are some of the activities we are currently busy with. But before that, let me do a bit of marketing. So my education, I got a BSc from Addis Ababa University and then come down to South Africa, and I did my honors with former Rand Afrikaans University in the current University of Johannesburg, and then I continued with my master's in physics, and then in 2005 I moved down to Nelson Mandela University and did my PhD there, and then thereafter I moved to Pretoria and I did a postdoc at CAES, University of Pretoria, and then I joined National Laser Center in October 1st, 2009. Since then, I've been moving through the CSI. I had at some stage I was seconded at Department of Science and Innovation, and then I was a founding member of the CSI Energy Center, and that's how I moved through the ranks from just a postdoc to one of the principal researcher, and then now I moved into more leadership role as a research group leader. So I lead a research group called Energy Supply and Demand. We're about 22 scientists and engineers working on the supply and demand side of the energy. I will talk a little bit about that in subsequent slides. So as you all know, our full energy sector is heavily coal reliant, and that creates higher CO2 emission to the environment. And there is a need for us to diversify our energy and move away from this traditional fossil fuel. And we are moving into mainly major renewable energy based sector. So, but this will give you a picture how our full energy sector look like. You all know, you have experienced it. I'm sure we're experiencing here in Pretoria. In fact, where I live, I experience up to 3 times a day recurrent load shedding currently, and this depicts a picture how it looks like. 2000 last year, it was worse, but it looks like this year is worse than what it was last year. So it's according to the current stats, it's about 60% higher than what we experienced last year, and we are already only on 9 months through the year. The rest of the world, they're moving into more renewable energy-based power system, and that's really the takeaway that I really want you to take away from this slide, mainly photovoltaic and wind. Then, the problems that we currently have really requires a visionary leadership just to solve the challenges. Some of them, the challenges or the opportunities are, our coal-fired power systems are aging, poorly performing, hence resulted in load shedding. Our utility ESCOM has got some liquidity and financial challenges, and there's some policy uncertainty, delay with major policy documents like integrated resource planning, integrated energy planning, and gas utilization master plan. As you may know, there is a growing infrastructure backlog, mainly in municipalities. As I've already alluded, our primary energy is mainly focusing on coal. To be precise, about 84–85% we are generating for coal. This single primary energy source poses a challenge, so we need to diversify that. And there are delays and performance issues with big mega build programs, Medupi and Kusile, for instance. And we still depend on imported oil, and we are exposed to the rising prices such as gas and oil. And there is also a municipality challenges, as you may know. So hence, the market is really telling us, we need an enterprise solution for load shedding, creating energy security and decarbonizing our energy and power system in future. And the industry is also telling us transition this energy, a single utility-based energy market into liberalized energy market. The recent change in the Energy Regulation Act, hopefully in the next few years, open up, move and help us to move into energy market. And we need to come up with a solution that will help us to reduce environmental impact. We need to really have full sector energy modeling that will guide energy investment in the country. And of course, there is new and emerging technology development and de-risking those technologies, mainly solar PV, wind, and energy storage. And of course, there is a decision support for local value chain development to ensure the energy transition moving away from coal into renewable energy is just, equitable, and fair. So that's why around about 7–8 years ago, the CSIR consolidated all the energy offering into one center. That energy center's vision is to provide knowledge base for South African energy transition and beyond South Africa, and as well beyond this transition. So how do we do that? We do that through research and development in energy value chain, from technologies into policies. So this is how the CSI Energy Center is formed. It's formed across the energy value chain. We've got 2 research groups mainly focusing on technology development, one research group system focused, and the other one on end user. So in the energy supply and demand, we do research in the energy efficiency, demand shaping, energy metrology, resource assessment and forecasting, renewable energy technology development, and also in thermal energy storage and waste heat recovery, where Mohammed, your alumni, will dwell much talking about that. In the second technology-focused research group, we do electrochemical energy technologies, batteries, fuel cells, supercapacitors. The other research group is we're mainly working on system approach, energy modeling, energy systems operation, and integration of variable renewable energy at all voltage levels into our power systems. Energy industry, we look into industrialization support, just energy transition, techno-economic, small, medium enterprise development. Another interesting project, we've got a program, we call it Living Energy Lab Platform, where we try to demonstrate real-world implementation of our research program. The main focus there is to test, develop, and prototype some of our energy storage solutions. So with the change that is happening, the formal full energy sector that I've shown you will likely to look like this, mainly major sources coming from variable renewable energy, sun and wind. And of course, when wind is not blowing and when sun is not there, we need some flexibilizer. And of course, we see gas and biomass playing a role. but electricity becoming, the major energy carrier, we call it be it for heat or transport. So the opportunities that this energy transition presents to the CSIR, to the country at large, not only to us, but this is, we went through a strategy definition, consulted major stakeholders, and this is where we see the opportunities and some of the research and development that we are currently pursuing. Wind and solar, we've got abundant and inexhaustible wind and solar energy resource. In fact, we maybe about the mid the century, I'm not sure whether we're gonna be using even 10% of that. So definitely there is a research required. What type of research? Planning and operating power system whose high share of this renewable energy, they are variable, they are intermittent. So stability and reliability issue really a challenge, and we need to try to solve that, localize some of these technologies, beneficiate the minerals that we have to develop some of the storage solutions. In finance, there is a lot of global finance available, and how do we take that opportunity to address our challenges, be it in ESCOM and municipalities. The next bigger thing, in the leap of everybody at the moment in the industry sector is hydrogen, and we really see an opportunity in how to determine the future role of hydrogen in future South African energy mix, and how do we localize and benefit out of that global hydrogen value chain. Of course, circular economy, how to make value out of the waste is also an important area of research. So the other area is just energy transition, where we move away, when we close down the coal power plants and move away into these renewable energy-based power systems. We need to do it more in just and equitable. And is there an opportunity to repurposing these old coal-fired power stations? What will happen to the labor force that are currently skilled with working in coal? How do we, mitigate reskilling them and create a new and making them ready for these new industries? I'm sure you have seen more than 2 million households and businesses have already installed, small-scale PV or bigger ones. So prosumers, consumers becoming producers of energy, and there is also a whole lot of opportunity that we need to look into that. The other opportunity is really how to create new business models. How do we aggregate small energy users and capacity infrastructure and maintenance issues in ESCOM. ESCOM has to transition into a new utility business model, and they also, I think, we need to play a role. And of course, alternative and low emission mobility, you can see, e-mobility, we see opportunities. So these are the guiding principles to set up our research agenda at the CSIR Energy Center. And we've got at the moment, we generously get some parliamentary grant funding from the CSIR, and we are investing in 9 core research areas. From supply side, we do research in renewable energy resource assessment and forecasting. We're trying to characterize the renewable energy resource we have, and develop a tool to predict how it will look like in 6 time, 24 hours horizon. The other project that we are working is in the risk reduction and decision support. I'll talk a little bit about that. And we work on energy storage test bed. We work in just energy transition and industry support. We're trying to develop some modeling tools in sustainable energy futures. And we also work on energy use storage and conversion, energy efficiency and demand response, thermal energy and use battery materials development. And of course, we also work in planning and operation of grids with high variable renewable energy for South Africa and Africa. So if you take the hypothetical, full energy sector modeling the future, this is perfectly fits in the future where normally we work on technologies of tomorrow, and this is how it fits with the technology of with the future power systems. So let me give you a sort of some of the offerings that we have from the generation side. In PV, we last year commissioned a ISO 17025 accredited PV module quality and reliability lab. So probably first of its kind in sub-Saharan Africa, where we have a world-class state-of-the-art, they call it AAA sun simulator, a sun in a box. The one that you see in the middle is just a sun simulator, artificial sun, which mimics, it's got also some temperature chamber where you can vary the temperature and you can really test, 1 year worth of data. You can mimic actually what is happening in the field. So what we do here is we stress the modules, we expose them into harsh thermal and humidity conditions, mechanical loads, and then we provoke some failures that would have happened in the field, and then we predict the lifetime to support the industry, whether the modules that they implement in the field will last for 25 years or not. So what you need to take away from here, the PV module that you buy should work for 25 years in order for you to make a financial gain out of it. So this is our offering. We do across the value chain. We do research in module testing, in publishing, in supporting the industries. We're developing artificial intelligence for electroluminescence defect detection and classification. Last year, we demonstrated technology readiness level 6. We do accelerated stress testing for PV modules. We also support the PV procurement, and we do, of course, performance testing on about 2 megawatts PV systems that we install in-house, and we do it for our clients as well. The other important area that we working is on wind resource assessment and decision support before a wind developer makes, whether a project in a site, in a specific site, will give economic sense or not. We step in and we help them with our LiDAR system. We're using a LiDAR system. We also have some anemometers that we put it on 60 to 80 meter tall wind mast, just to collect the data and then advise you some commercial available tools and in-house developed tools to help, optimize the site that a developer will use. The other big area that we trying, maybe it's, close to home. I don't know whether you guys are aware, eThekwini Metro announced the energy plan during this week, and happy to see that there is about 300 megawatt of offshore wind technology that have been identified. That's very interesting. UKZN is, not UKZN, KwaZulu-Natal province is leading, spearheading in that research. And I'm sure UKZN will also get involved. We've got a world-class resource. If you just go to our coastal areas, and the CSIR really working with major stakeholders like the World Bank Group, the European Union delegation in South Africa, DMRE and others to put a roadmap for South Africa to develop, offshore technologies. So I've already spoken the just energy transition. One area, the energy industry, we are really focusing on, moving from only focusing on the technical and cost effect. What will this technology, when we transition into these newer technologies, what are the social effect? What are the economic effect? What are the environmental effect? Because, the National Development Plan forces us to do look beyond, the transition has to be equitable, just and benefit everybody. It shouldn't leave, some quarter of our society behind. We also do research in transmission energy systems where, when you introduce in current power system, variable renewable energy sources, there will be some inertia and system inertia and stability problem that comes, and we are working very closely with ESCOM, and trying to assess, do modeling, and what will happen, when the penetration level, the current probably to 2, 5, 10, 20, and hopefully in the next 10 or so years, maybe going beyond 25% in our power systems. So the other, Mohammed will talk, as you may remember, the end use about 41% is for process heat. And this process heat was, based for coal, they use coal, fired boilers, and that was understandable because energy was very cheap at that time. But now, with energy prices increasing, there is a need for us to look into the heat space, maybe an opportunity trying to recover some of the heat that would have lost, and also optimize our thermal processing and developing cheaper thermal energy storage systems. Mohammed will touch base and in his presentation some of the technologies that he is developing. The other new business that we see, currently, you need to have a plan for you to invest on the future power systems. At the moment, the tools that we have are not opaque, they're inconsistent, they're fragmented, sometimes it's not even existing. And some of them are even expensive. You have to pay more than $1 million to buy a commercial software tool that will help you to plan future. So that's the area where we are developing in-house, and trying to use open source softwares, trying to provide decision support and grow the capacity, and as well as the data hosting platform that are required in that area. To support decision-making, our governments, municipalities, even enterprises. So that's the area that we're doing. This is some work that really put us on the map in the past at the CSIR Energy Center. And we've got an energy systems group working, developing energy tools for future energy systems in the country. The other, as you can see, is, this picture will tell you that you can produce, hydrogen relatively, the reddish type plot is telling you that you can produce, the more reddish, the color is, you can produce cheaper hydrogen compared to the other regions in the world. So South Africa is really blessed. We are in a very good geographical location. Therefore, we are working in techno-economic analysis of hydrogen production for local use and export, and that's one area that the CSIR Energy Center is working on. The other one is we working with support from the Belgian government. We are establishing a world-class testing facility for energy storage systems. As you may know, energy storage batteries will play a significant role in future South African power systems. Therefore, the batteries that we implement and develop in the country should be at international standard and make sure that they're going to last longer for us to make financial sense. So that's where we have identified. There's a cry from the industry. Most of the batteries that have been implemented at the moment are not functioning according to the specs, and therefore we need some testing support at the country, and we're developing a world-class facility, and hopefully by the end of the calendar year or the beginning of next year, we're going to be launching a world-class state-of-the-art testing facility. So we don't also not only talk the talk, but we walk the talk. So we have, we call it a Smart Utilities Program, where we have done some demand side options. We've done energy auditing, we've changed some of our lighting to more efficient lighting sources. And we've got about 2 megawatts of different configuration of PV. Maybe probably if you want the data, we can share that data freely. We've got single axis tracker, dual axis tracker, east-west facing PV systems, and north facing PV systems. Probably this is a good, if students are interested to do research on that. So with that, we also do battery research. We've been doing it for many, many years, this cathode materials development. We've got some IPs in the synthesis methods, and we are really seriously considering, localization of our our minerals. And yeah, this is one area that the CSIR Energy Center is currently developing. This depicts, we've got about 6 intellectual portfolios. This show you, some of the findings that we get, and interesting demonstration on the right-hand side of the screen. Just before I end, let me end with this slide. You can see we're doing a whole lot of decision support type work, but we're also developing some hardcore technologies in the energy efficiency and demand response space. We're developing demand response technologies under risk reduction decision support. We're developing EL image processing. In resource assessment, we are looking into offshore wind floating foundations. Energy storage test bed, we're looking into develop some tools for detect manufacturing defects and how we can support the industry. In battery materials, we, as I told you, there's an IP that have been developed in upstream material processing, anode and cathode material synthesis. In thermal energy end use, we are developing some technologies in waste heat recovery systems and thermal energy storage systems. I hope that we have given you, it's a lot to absorb in a very short period of time, but this is the overview of the CSIR Energy Center. And with that, Mathew, thank you. This is my email address in case if you have questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Kittessa. It was a brilliant presentation, wonderful, lovely slides, and I think you gave a very good description of what you guys are doing there in Pretoria. I'm going to leave the questions. I think I have some questions, and I think a lot of guys here in the audience have questions, but I'm just going to carry on with the presentation. We'll leave the questions till the end. And please hang around, because I think we have good questions, the students, and those that I can ask. So I'm going to call on Ms. Ramonyai to start a presentation on the student opportunities, and then followed by Mr. Sheik. And thereafter, we'll have some questions. Thanks again, Kittessa, a lovely presentation.
Thank you, Prof. Moodley. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to be providing the CSIR overview and also discussing the student opportunities that are available at the CSIR. The contents of my presentation will be about the CSIR mandate, the vision, the mission, and also the values, our collaborations, our objective from the Human Capital Development Office, where we work with programs that involve students and also career development of our staff members. And I'll also be talking about the CSIR bursary program and various employment opportunities. All right, so with the CSIR, we are mandated to provide multidisciplinary research and technologies and innovation to foster the national interest in the fields which opinion should receive preference, industrial and scientific development, either by itself or in the cooperation with principals from the private or public sectors, and thereby to contribute to the improvement and quality of the lives of South Africans. We are mandated by the Scientific Research Council Act, number 46 of 1998, which was amended in 2014 to Act 27. Our mission is to collaboratively innovating and localized technologies while providing knowledge solutions for the inclusive and sustainable advancement of industry and society. And our vision is we are accelerators of the socio-economic prosperity in South Africa through leading innovation. And our values, as we call them, the EPIC values, we strive for excellence, we're people-centered, we strive for integrity and for collaboration. And then I'm just going to be discussing a few research, development, and innovation for impact that CSIR has established or participated in recently. We were very involved with the COVID, during the COVID pandemic. We co-developed COVID test kits with Cape Bio, and there was also 9 invasive ventilators that were developed. The CSIR installed more than 40 monitors to check airborne transmission in public health facilities. And we also have the electronic vaccination data system, which is owned by the Department of Health, but it was developed in part with the CSIR, and the COVID-19 test labs in support of the National Health Laboratory Services. Okay. We've also had work done on the novel CSIR fingerprint system tested in forensic mortuaries. A CSIR developed fingerprint system is being tested at the Bronkhorstspruit Forensic Mortuary to acquire fingerprints of deceased South Africans. As we know, there is a backlog with DNA results coming back for those who have deceased. And this will also benefit the SAPS and the forensic mortuaries to conduct queries against the local criminal record center database. There's also smart surveillance for safer correctional facilities. The CSIR has piloted a new camera-based imaging that will alert the correctional services if there is an intrusion, and the surveillance is a wide area surveillance with the Department of Correctional Services in the Eastern Cape. And the CSIR, together with a private company, is in its sorry about that. Okay, and this will also use radar, and it will also have video images from day and night cameras. All right. And we're also providing affordable broadband for South African townships and rural areas. The CSIR is implementing wireless network infrastructure for affordable broadband internet connectivity in the neediest communities around the country through SMEs owned by the youth and also the disabled. There's also a project with assisting local SMEs to comply with television white space. The CSIR has assisted an SME in Indigo Broadband SA to achieve a regulatory compliance for their TVWS network devices. And this has also been a critical milestone in the introduction of commercial TVWS services in SA. Okay, I'm going to move on to human capital development, which is the unit that I come from, where we handle student opportunities and also career development of our employees. Our objectives are to develop a sustainable pool of appropriately qualified individuals to connect to R&D, achieve quality researcher profile consistent with world-class R&D organizations, implement interventions that make a responsive and agile CSIR, which is a key role player in the national system of innovation. So we have, from the school level, we have learner support programs, and we also have in-service training. At undergrad and postgrad, we have the bursary, which covers honors, masters, and doctoral. And we have postdoc opportunities also in collaboration with the NRF. In terms of the CSIR bursary program, we support all areas in the science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and innovation areas. For people who are in grade 12, who would be applying for the bursary, they need to have a minimum level 6 for maths and physical sciences, and a minimum of level 5 for English. And if you're already a university student applying for the bursary, you need to have passed all your modules, and you need to be also studying at a South African university and also be a South African citizen. The bursary covers registration fees, tuition fees, living allowance, meal allowance, once-off laptop allowance, book allowance, vacation work, And we also provide psychosocial support where we just assist with your mental health. And for master's and doctoral students, we cover registration fees, tuition fees, living allowance, and a once-off laptop allowance. The opportunities are advertised annually on our website. The call for 2023 closed in July, so the next call will be opening for funding for 2024 in July. We have the Inter-Bursary Support Program, which is it supports postgraduate studies, and also it's a partnership with the Department of Science and Innovation. There is funded thematic areas that are specific. For example, we have aerospace, bioprocessing, just to name a few. For students to qualify, you need to be accepted or registered full-time at any South African university. This is for students who intend to study for honors, fourth-year engineering, and advanced diploma or postgraduate diploma, master's, and doctoral. And the bursary covers your tuition and registration fees, and you also receive a once-off laptop allowance. The call opens in July annually, and it's also advertised on our website, www.csir.co.za. We have the studentship opportunity, which enables master's and doctoral students to obtain their qualifications on research that is aligned to the CSIR critical areas and research projects. The program is aimed at increasing research outputs at the CSIR while simultaneously providing students with the opportunity to obtain a master's and doctoral degree. The criteria is you need to be studying towards your master's or doctoral. The benefits are we pay for your registration fees, tuition, you get training, you're temporarily employed at the CSIR with a monthly salary, and your allocated time at the university. As Prof. Moodley indicated, that CSIR has a nice campus, so you get an opportunity to also experience the campus. This opportunity is also advertised on our website. The Graduate in Training program is currently just open to our CSIR bursars, but there are efforts to have it open also externally to people who are not part of the bursary program. So it's a 3-year program offered after graduation of undergraduate studies towards a professional registration with, for example, EXA, you need to be a CSR bursar, as I indicated, but we're looking at opening this up to external applicants also. The cover is that the graduate in trainings get a work laptop, a monthly salary, and rotational work exposure and professional registration. The next presenter, Mohammed, was actually part of the graduate in training program, so he'll also elaborate more on the program. We also have the YES program, which is an internship. You need to have a national senior certificate to qualify or junior degree. You get a monthly stipend, online training, and psychosocial support. You're also based at the CSIR or at other industry SMEs. The call opens annually in November, and you apply through the Youth at Work website, which is included on the slide, which is www.sayouthatwork.com. There are internship opportunities at the CSIR, and this also just gives graduates an opportunity to gain experience at the CSIR and also to grow the theoretical knowledge. I was also part of the internship, and now I'm permanently employed at the CSIR. You need to have completed a degree for eligibility, and the duration is 1 year. And the adverts are posted through the CSIR website. For permanent employees, for permanent employment opportunities, the adverts are also posted on our website. They will have different requirements, which will be stated on the advert. And you can just check our website on which employment opportunities are available. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ramonyai. Excellent. I see there's lots of opportunities for kids, not kids, for students. And But I see your guys are closed already, and it's a bit too early to close. I think if you could open it up, and there's lots of students who would like to apply. But closing June, July is a bit, I think it's a bit too early to advertise, because a lot of our students are concentrating on the work, the degree, and so on. And it's normally around August, September, October. That would be the time. But yeah, okay, all right. We give the students to ask questions.
Yeah, no, we'll take that into consideration, and we also do try host information sharing sessions since we're in partnership with most of the universities, just to alert the students that the calls are open for the bursaries.
Yeah, just to tell the students again, it's a beautiful campus, and truly, it was a privilege working there for 10 years. Next up, we'll have Mohammed Sheik, and he will tell you. He'll probably confirm what I'm saying. Mohammed, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The contents of my presentation are as follows. I will give a background about myself and then my experience on the CSIR Graduate in Training program. And then I will discuss some of the major projects that I was involved in and the skills acquired. And then finally, I will talk about my progression towards professional registration, as well as my career progression at the CSIR. I was part of the CSIR bursary program from 2015 to 2018, and I graduated with a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering in 2018. Upon joining the CSIR in 2019, I registered as a candidate engineer with the Engineering Council of South Africa. And I also registered for my master's part-time in mechanical engineering in 2020. Some of the areas of interest are energy storage and generation. And I'm currently employed at the CSIR Energy Center in the Thermal Systems Development Team. So the CSIR Graduate in Training program was initiated in 2019. So we were the first batch of graduates to be part of this program. The aim was to encourage graduates to register as professionals in their respective fields. And the program was structured to enable the graduates to achieve the required experience in the minimum amount of time. So the graduates were allowed to rotate to different departments within the CSIR to gain exposure and meet the required outcomes. A former mentor was also appointed to guide the candidate through the process. And feedback sessions were held every 6 months by the HR department to track progress. So I was part of the GIT program from 2019 to 2020 before being offered a permanent post at the CSIR Energy Center as a candidate engineer in 2021. So before discussing the projects that I was involved in, I would like to give some context to the work that we are doing as the thermal team. Based on the energy balances available on the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy website, the industrial sector in South Africa is the largest consumer of energy, accounting for approximately 51%, as shown in the pie chart. And it is estimated that approximately 70% of this energy is converted to heat or thermal energy. And a significant portion of this energy is discarded as waste heat in the order of 20 to 50%. So our focus is to recover waste heat and reuse it in processes to improve efficiency, reduce costs, and carbon emissions. But to ensure that the energy is readily available when the demand arises, it is essential to store this waste heat. So after joining the Energy Center in 2019, I was tasked with research on different types of thermal energy storage technologies and developing a test rig to test different materials, which is displayed in the pictures at the bottom of the slide. And in 2020, the focus was on calibrating that rig
Mohammed, sorry.
and investigating the potential
hello,
of
Mohammed.
zeolite 13X for thermal energy storage. So zeolites are made up of aluminium, silicon, and oxygen atoms. They occur naturally, but are also produced synthetically on a large scale. The synthetic versions tend to have better properties, although they are more expensive. So zeolites store and release heat by absorbing and releasing water molecules in air. So to store the heat or charge the zeolite, hot air is passed through the zeolite, which releases the water molecules trapped in the zeolite pores. And this heat can be stored indefinitely, as the heat is only discharged.
Hello, Mohammed. Can you hear me? Your slides are not moving and it's disappeared.
Okay.
Can you reshare, Mohammed? Can you reshare? And can you put it on full screen, please?
Yeah, it's in, put it in presentation mode.
Sorry about that, Mohammed.
Yeah, it's F5 on your computer.
Is it fine now?
No, but it's not in presentation mode.
Okay.
Press F5.
Is it fine now?
Okay, your slides are not moving. If it's fine, as long as we can see the slides, but yeah, move it on as you talk, because you were stuck on the first slide.
Slide, yeah.
Oh, but now are the slides moving?
Well, try moving it, and we'll tell you.
Yeah, I'm moving it.
No, it's not moving. It could be the load shedding.
Okay. I'll just try one more time.
Yeah, okay, that's better. Yeah, it's moving. Yeah, you can continue.
Okay. Yeah, so I was talking about the zeolites that we tested for thermal storage. So after successfully testing it at lab scale, we decided to, we actually formed a partnership with a manufacturing company to pilot this technology and to test it in a real world application. So this company operates 3 high temperature kilns that exhaust waste heat to the atmosphere. So the zeolite system aims to recover and store this waste heat and use it for a drying process in the same factory. So there are 2 thermal storage tanks. So this enables charging and discharging to occur simultaneously. So there was some finite element analysis done to determine if the structure can support the thermochemical material, and also see if demodeling was done to determine the heat transfer through the reactor to size the reactor correctly. Flownex modeling was also done. Flownex is a simulation software which is used for modeling heat transfer and flow through real-world systems. And so this was set up to calculate the pressure drop through the system, as well as correctly size the fans. So some of the skills acquired during these projects were 3D design in solid edge, computational fluid dynamics using flow EFD, and modeling systems in Flownex. And I also got to calibrate and log data during our experimental runs with the ZLI 13X. I've also acquired some project management skills since I was responsible for the entire procurement process, as well as managing the budget for the projects. I've also written several internal technical reports, as well as published one conference paper that was presented at SASEC 2021 in Stellenbosch. I've also got to interact with the external client during our pilot scale project. So according to the EXA discipline-specific guide for mechanical engineering, problem-solving skills are expected in some of the topics that are displayed in the table. So through the lab scale and pilot scale projects, I have ticked almost all these boxes. And upon the final implementation and commissioning of the pilot scale system, which is currently planned for the end of this financial year, I expect to have met all the EXA outcomes, and I plan to submit for my professional registration. With regards to my career progression at CSIR, the CSIR has a career ladder system which promotes researchers based on their qualifications and expertise. And the advantage of this system is that the researcher has control of their career and can progress at their own pace without waiting for a vacancy to pop up. So when I joined the Energy Center in 2021, I was appointed as a candidate researcher, and this year I was promoted to a researcher. I also submitted my master's in mechanical engineering based on thermal storage. So I submitted it for examination in June of this year, and I'm still awaiting the result. And as I mentioned, I plan to submit to EXA for professional registration by the end of this year. With those two items and some additional experience, I plan to be a senior researcher within the next 2 to 3 years. Thank you.
Oh, excellent, Mohammed. As you can see, guys, there's career opportunities. You're just not employed as a worker there, and you can develop a nice career and you can contribute to the well-being of this country. My view always has been, when it comes to the CSIR, a strong CSIR means a strong South Africa, and so we need very bright kids, bright people joining the CSIR, and in solving our technical challenges, what we have in this country, for example, energy. So thank you, Mohammed. Right, so there'll be questions, guys. If you're going to ask questions, we can pose those questions to me or to the other guys here, so that we can ask these questions, ask questions to the invited guests. And let me start off by asking Kittessa. Kittessa, I don't know how many staff members do you have in the energy department?
So currently we have just over 50 staff, about 52.
Because, I can see you're doing quite a lot. So I'm just wondering, the energy being a priority in the country and a major problem, shouldn't we, I think the CSR should have a few hundred people working in that area. And, because I think otherwise you're doing quite a lot, and then it's spread over 50 people that may not be enough. So, you need to achieve some kind of impact And by being spreading thin, it's going to be difficult to make headways in those areas you mentioned. But anyway, I'm happy because at the end of the day, you need more engineers and scientists actually working with the sleeves rolled up and actually building things. And that's not just writing reports and submitting reports. You know, the CSIR is well known for those things of submitting reports, but we need energy solutions, technical solutions. We need people working on the ground to solve all the problems. As I said, the CSIR plays a very important role in this country. Guys, any questions?
Absolutely, yes? Mathew, just to say something on that. Absolutely, that's why we, you know, we want to always remain relevant and impactful, and that's why we refine, you know, research so often. In fact, we have a plan for 5 years, and we refine them on yearly basis. And absolutely, it sounds as if we are doing a lot, but we select where we know we are, you know, I mean, nobody else in the country is doing better than us. And where we know that, you know, I mean, there are clients, you know, that can absorb, you know, whatever the outputs and outcomes that we produce. So absolutely, that's what we're focusing. Thanks.
Well, hopefully you don't compete with the universities, but actually work with them. You know, for many years I was there, and the university, the CSIR was trying to compete with the universities.
But that has changed, Mathew. Remember,
okay,
with the new project sign-ups, with the current new CEO, with the current CEO, you know, when he came in.
Tulani,
you know,
yes, he was my boss at the laser center.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, yeah, we undergone a strategy review, and we are now more industry focused.
Excellent, excellent.
And we don't do research for the sake of doing. Blue sky research is no more there. You know, I mean, we have to have some client in mind, or collaborator that going to absorb the outcome and outputs that comes out of that.
Okay. Guys, students, anyone else would like to ask questions, please go ahead and ask them now. I would like to, if you don't have that, you can unmute yourself. Leena, you can just unmute any question, unmute anyone who would like to ask a question, and then so that they could ask them to Kittessa or Mohammed or Ms. Ramonyai.
The students can raise their hands, or they can post their questions in the chat box. So students, please take this opportunity.
Let them, Leena, can you just let them raise their hands so that you ask, because the typing is just going to be time consuming. Let them raise their hands, and then I will unmute them and let them ask the question.
We have one, Mathew.
Yeah, go ahead, Toveka, go ahead, unmute yourself. Oh. Quick questions. Go ahead. Okay, let's move on to someone else. Raise your hand if you, there's a raise hand at the bottom of the presentation, and then we will unmute yourself, so unmute you so that you can ask the question. Okay, go ahead. Ask your question, Noma.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I wanted to find out, sorry if there were some parts I was in and out. Okay, she just answered me. I wanted to find out, where can we look for postdoc opportunities? I know she said we must go on the website. Is everything posted on the website? And also, how would you advise just someone to increase the chances of their success and their application, maybe in getting a postdoc or in getting an internship? And the second question I have is, do the internships come with like a full salary, or is it just like a stipend? Thank you.
Okay, with postdocs, they are advertised on our website under vacancies. And I would say the most important thing to accompany your application would be academic performance, and also quite a strong research project also. And in terms of the internships, you do get a stipend, a monthly stipend. I hope that answered your question, Noma Gugu.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Thank you. Those who posted questions on the chat box, please, I'm not keeping track of these questions. If you want to ask a question, raise your hand and ask the question.
Okay, Mathew, can I just mention them? With the question from Toveka, she wanted to find out if she's completed her master's, but not funded by CSIR, what are the opportunities available at CSIR for her? I think this would be Katlego.
Can you please just repeat that? Sorry.
So Toveka is asking, she's completed her master's.
Yes.
And she's not indicating which area, but she wants to know what opportunities are there for her at CSIR after she's completed her master's.
Okay. If she wants to further her studies, maybe pursue her doctoral studies, she can apply for the bursary. But if she's looking for employment, there is the internships, there's also permanent employment opportunities also available. I'm not sure if that answers Tobega's question.
I'm sure it did, Katlego. Mathew, I think we've got a question from...
yeah, Mohammed, go ahead. Mohammed, ask your question.
Thank you, Mathew. Thanks everyone for a great presentation. I think mine's more a technical question. So either Kittessa or Mohammed can maybe assist with that. You know, I completely support and understand the move towards green energy, as you guys are so effectively researching there. But there is this other point that says that should we kind of continue to build using this expensive technologies, and I know they're coming down in price, but they're still a lot more expensive, that Africa will kind of remain poor because we won't be able to really expand our GDP if we can't have energy growth. So any comments on that?
So thanks, Mohammed. At the moment, you know, when you take to new build options, still, you know, solar PV and wind are the cheapest. Well, renewable energy are the cheapest compared to the traditional means. So I mean, it's an option. Remember, you know, if you wait for, you know, I mean, if you take, I wish I can show you a very good map of Africa where it shows current transmission lines and current population density. Well, you'd be surprised they don't talk to each other. So that means where populations are dense, there is no transmission lines. So you wait for that transmission investment, you're going to wait longer, and then we're going to lag behind. So therefore, we need to come up with innovative technologies where, you know, I mean, smaller scale, mini and micro grid solutions. Maybe there are different technology options. So I don't know, yeah, but in terms of cost, at the moment, new build wind and solar are the cheapest. Thanks.
Yes. Any other questions? No. Yeah, Sianda, go ahead.
Thank you, Prof. I'm from the website, the CSIR website, and I checked the vacancies, and I noticed that most of the posts, they require at least 3 years to 5 years experience. So in that case, what do we do as students since we do not have the relevant experience? Yes,
yeah.
Sianda, are you looking for something that's permanent, if I may ask?
Yes, I was looking for that.
Okay. I totally share your sentiments. Think the best advice I can advise you to do is maybe start out with internships so that you do gain the experience. And apply once you've gotten the relevant experience. But sometimes you find that whichever cluster is hiring, if you've done some vacation work and you've gotten some exposure, Kittessa can correct me on this, and they would consider you for whatever position is there, but probably take you through thorough training, as they would if you're on an internship. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Ramonyai, is it possible for you to share all the details of these bursaries, the detailed form, and send that to us, especially like Leena, so that we can compile all these opportunities in much more detail, and with the relevant email address or contact website, so that students can so that we can give it to students and they can actually click on this thing and get that information, or directly read it from our printout, because to follow up on deadline dates, like for example CSIR, SASOL, ESCOM, all have different deadline dates and closing dates, for example. And it's very difficult with students to find this information. So if you give us this information, I think we're going to try and ask Leena that we actually compile this opportunities from various various organizations. Right. So as I said, the CSR is an extremely important role in this country, plays an important role. So we want our bright students there, and looking for solutions that can improve the conditions in this country.
All right, thank you. I will definitely do that.
Yes, Kittessa, yeah, you go ahead.
So I need to apologize and leave. I mean, I have had stop at 10 past, but thank you. Thanks for the opportunities.
Thanks, Kittessa. I think you guys are doing a great job there. I'll come and visit you guys soon.
Please do. Thanks, Mathew.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we've come close to the end. If there are no other questions for Mohammed and Katlego, please, you can ask the questions now. All right. Don't seem any more questions. I would like to then thank the candidate, the speakers, Kittessa, I know very long. Katlego, thank you for coming, and Mohammed, thank you for sharing your experiences. I think you've made a correct choice. You're lucky to get a place there. So hopefully you contribute to the CSIR as well as develop your career as an engineer.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining. Just stay in contact with this series. Leena, the public relations has arranged a list of talks by the industry. And Leena, would you like to say something, or should I send it to speak on it? What's the next industry?
No, it's fine. Thank you so much, Mathew. Thank you so much, Mohammed and Katlego, including Kittessa and all the students. The next the next industry seminar series is the one hosted by CSIR, but on the IT side. It is displayed by Londeka. Please, we will be sending this invite to you. So please see if you are able to join. And once again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mathew.
Pleasure.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. Bye.